What the hell is going on with International Fight Week? June 28th, Las Vegas. We know that. Is anyone else getting a little anxious about all of this? Because I think a couple of months ago, we felt like Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev was a shoo-in. Now it seems like, all right, last week I said they're going to wait to see what happens in Montreal. Bilal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena. If Bilal wins, Islam stays at 155. If Jack Della wins, Islam moves up, and now maybe you get Ilya versus Charles. Chuck Mindenhall, speaking of Uncrown.com, wrote a great story talking about how Jack Della Maddalena affects so many different lives, multiple weight classes, 145, 155, and 170 in many respects. It's a bit of a mess. And I had heard that if it wasn't going to be Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria, then perhaps it was going to be Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. And as I continued to hear that they were going to wait for Montreal, surely they weren't going to wait until May 10th or 11th to announce the main event for June 28th. I mean, I guess they can. They can do whatever the hell they want, but that feels a little bit too late, especially when you have people who want to travel for International Fight Week, go to the Hall of Fame, go to the Expo and all that stuff. You kind of want to know what you're getting. Ticket prices are high. It's Vegas, T-Mobile, etc. And so then I started to hear DDP versus Khamzat, which I think is a very suitable main event, a great main event, a highly anticipated main event, and a very good one for International Fight Week. Then all of a sudden, we see all kinds of madness on social media yesterday. Well, it actually started a week ago today. Khamzat tweeting this, good news. All right, great. Then a few days later, we get this. All right, things are happening. Great picture, by the way. AI, I don't know.
Definitely AI.
Is it?
No doubt. No.
Whatever it is, it's good stuff. Then we get this. Yesterday, 10:27 a.m. Eastern Time. This guy, biggest bullshit. SMH emoji. That's the emoji that comes up when you type in SMH. Oh. Then we get this. A reply to that tweet today from Dricus himself. Let's take a look at the last 2.5 years and tell me who's bullshit. And so he puts, and by the way, Dricus, Tapology guy? That looks like Tapology, right?
Definitely Tapology, shout out.
So he's got the whole lineup there. On the left.
Yeah, it's just him winning a bunch of fights and Khamzat having cancellation.
Yeah. Strickland, Izzy, Strickland, Whitaker, Brunson, Till. Not a bad lineup. On the right, Whitaker canceled. Usman, Costa canceled, not his fault. Nate Diaz canceled, his fault. Kevin Holland. That was replacing the Diaz fight. Anyway, one's been active, one hasn't. Then we get this from Caio Borralho in the midst of all of the Khamzat tweets. Interim? So clearly he got the heads up. Then we get this from Caio. Don't forget, guys, I'm ready. Last 4 Russians on my record. This time is going to be no different. I'm ready. He's been on quite the run, as his whole team has. Fighting Nerds, you've heard of them. Then we get this. Khamzat said yes. The only thing that makes sense is the interim belt. This fight is going to be bigger than him versus Dricus. Mark my words. I think there was one more. Or maybe I'm wrong. And then we get this from Khamzat. An Instagram story of him choking out, I think, Caio. They've trained together, right? Oh, yeah. He also posted a picture of him taking someone for a ride. I don't know if that's Caio. That could just mean like, I'm working, I'm doing things, I'm training. And so that's where things stand. I've reached out to the particulars. Radio silence. I think PT is there. I heard the laugh. What do you make of all of this, PT? Nice hat. Up 1-0. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Delighted for the boys. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Just
nervous.
I just plugged myself back into the NBA.
Thanks
again.
Welcome back.
Fantastic. Well done, Rick. Well done.
Yeah.
I mean, light work.
Everyone, expect that.
We don't celebrate the first round. That's
okay.
That's for
International Fight Week. International Fight Week.
Celebrate the small things, guys.
Yeah.
Smell the rose. That's right.
That's right.
International Fight Week. Yeah, I thought it was going to be, obviously, you've said that at the start. I thought it was going to be Topuria and Islam. Now we have this situation with Islam. Sorry, with Topuria on Joe Rogan. We were confident that we would get something out of that 2.5 hours that would guide us towards a conclusion. Didn't get that. Very confusing. I said last week to Chuck that even though, right, it's International Fight Week, that's obscured slightly. I don't know why, but I'm more confident that we are getting one of these fights than I have been. I just don't think it's that date. And I don't agree with Kaio that it would be bigger if he fought Khamzat Chimaev. I think this kind of back and forth they're having seems a bit artificial given how much he was singing Khamzat's praises when he was training with him. It's all a bit messy. And we want something to sink our teeth into. We want something to get excited about. I agree with you. It should be announced now so we can get the juices flowing, Ariel.
Okay, well, here's the thing, guys. We all love International Fight Week. In fact, we're banding about the idea of taking the show on the road, a road show, if you will, Helwani Show, and other shows of ours here at the Uncrowned Network. In Sin City is a Caio Borralho versus Khamzat Chimaev interim title fight, perhaps coupled with a Alex Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France flyweight fight. Is that International Fight Week worthy? What are your thoughts, GC? What are the vibes when I tell you this?
It's not worthy of it when the expectations were people thinking it was either going to be Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev or Dricus du Plessis against Khamzat Chimaev, because I am in agreement with Pizzi in that there is no way Caio Borralho versus Khamzat Chimaev will be bigger or even close to as big as DDP versus Khamzat. You can't have an interim title be bigger. I also think DDP is currently a bigger name than Caio Borralho. I don't think that this would suffice in filling, and then having the flyweight title fight, as much as I love Pantoja, as much as I love Kai Kara-France, if that would be his opponent, just does not feel International Fight Week worthy, does not feel big enough.
Right.
Let me throw out devil's advocate.
Okay.
I agree with everything said. Let me be clear.
Please.
I do not think that Caio versus Khamzat is a huge fight. Because let's speak in specifics. Khamzat, big star. Caio, not yet, right? Great fighter. Fantastic fighter. I think potentially a future champion in the sport. Not a big name. Not a draw. But if you get Khamzat Chimaev, another opportunity to watch him fight as the UFC, to put him on a pay-per-view, which then, let's say he has the performance that you would hope he would have as the headliner of International Fight Week, to then parlay that into his next fight against DDP, I think that even further enhances that fight. Now, I think that's a massive fight already. I think that's a huge fight already. But if he goes in there and absolutely blows the doors off Caio, I think you have something that at least wasn't a huge loss, because if you're not getting Islam, if you're not getting Ilia, you're not getting John. You're getting one of your bigger stars to headline that event.
Sure.
You're getting
and it's back in America where we thought for the longest time.
America.
But here's the thing. Like, this is International Fight Week. And we remember there was a time, there was like a 3, maybe 4-year stretch where it felt like International Fight Week was cursed.
Yeah,
where
100%.
the main events were always falling through and the fights didn't feel so big. And maybe we have put so much emphasis, so much pressure on that weekend, when in reality, as we've always talked about, it's a timing thing and whatnot. Last year looked great on paper, but ended up being somewhat of a mess, but then it was salvaged by the guy. I feel like we need something else. Now, I'm not saying I don't have the intel right now to suggest that there's a rabbit or not, but I feel like they recognize this as well. Or is it possible that the brand is big enough right now, it's hot enough right now, where they can get away with a Khamzat International Fight Week event, a rising star, another title fight? Paulo Costa's on the card. He's already said that. Is that enough?
I think
That's my concern.
I think they're in that spot regardless, though. Like, what are the options?
That's the thing.
There are no options.
Can we just convince Islam to stay one more fight at 155 pounds? Look, you beat Ilia. You can make the claim that you've cleaned out the division. And yes, someone will say, what about Arman? Well, no, I beat Arman. All right, I'm giving him another crack. I beat him way back when he had his chance. He had his second chance. He didn't show up. I did. Ilia now moves up. Can you make the claim? I'm just asking. I'm not saying I necessarily subscribe to this. Can you make the claim that if you don't stick around to fight Ilya, it will forever be somewhat of an asterisk.
No.
Can you make that
absolutely
claim?
not.
No,
No?
I don't think
Cannot
so.
be.
He's
It's
already
Ilya
beat
Taporia
Volk
moving
twice.
up.
On the number 1 pound for pound guy who gave the featherweight champ 2 shots at it, no, you cannot make that claim.
Is
I
there
think
anyone
that's his
other than
issue.
Ilya, though, Pete? Is there anyone other than Ilya right now that is really like a strong threat to his throne?
I don't know about all this strong threat. I don't even know if Ilya is a strong threat, if I'm being honest. But that's the one that everyone wants to see, and that's supposedly the business that the UFC are in, putting on the fights that everyone wants to see. Right now, we have 2 fights that everyone wants to see, and they would have been suited perfectly to International Fight Week. We know it's more complicated with John Jones, but you had to have the feeling that this is what they were aiming for. And now we're talking about another year where they're coming out short, which makes me feel, and to Eric's point earlier and yours, is there such thing? GC said earlier, International Fight Week worthy. Is that even a thing anymore? We have heard complaints this year about the pay-per-views. 314 was great, don't get me wrong, but there was complaints earlier on with the quality of the pay-per-views. They are playing with the house money, as we've said countless times on this show. Is there even an impetus for the UFC to stress themselves out, trying to make this happen, try to lay out the red carpet for Islam so we'll fight Ilya? Is the juice worth the squeeze for these guys at this stage? That's something that I'm debating. They don't need to. They are an absolute Goliath. They are going to make a lot of money. They're going to sign a huge deal at the end of this year. Is the juice worth the squeeze, Ariel? That's what I'd say.
No,
That's what I'm thinking.
Ultimately, we've had worse main events
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
that one, and we've had worse International Fight Week main events than that one.
I
You know?
think if Khamzat gets announced, it's going to be a big deal. And if Khamzat has a performance, now again, this is on the back end, right? This is not going to solve the problem of the people going, this is not a International Fight Week caliber main event. But I agree with PT. I don't think that exists. And also, for what it's worth, the UFC has run out of the last couple of years of the golden parachute, the break glass of a case of emergency of just call Alex Pereira for anything, right? Anything fell off, call Alex Pereira. That's kind of on the side for now because he's not even the champ. He has to.
Pereira Ankalaev too.
Yeah, but Ankalaev is the one in control of that destiny, right? It is no longer Alex Pereira holding that belt and saying, "Here, come take the shot." So they've lost that option.
Yes, Pizzi. Now we're thinking.
What'd you say?
Put the
BMF
BMF on the
title,
line.
Oh, Jesus.
Who is even worthy of that?
Who cares? Pereira v. The Wall.
Oh,
BMF,
Christ
baby.
almighty with the
No,
BMF.
please God, no.
Please, no more BMF.
That is their emergency break glass, though. Let's be honest. They've used it
No, but
before.
I think BMF might be on the line at 318.
Yeah, let's
if
go to
it's
Louisiana.
Poirier Holloway.
Yeah.
Either way,
Would they do that?
I mean,
The
you
BMF?
have to think Max Holloway retains the 155 BMF belt right now. You'd have to put it on the line.
Isn't
Is it weight
Taporia?
class to-
Isn't Taporia the BMF champ? Or was it
No,
not on
he's
the
the
line?
lineal.
It takes if you're talking
He's the
lineal, but
lineal.
that fight place took it 145.
Wait, is he
the
even the lineal?
155
No,
BMF
'cause
belt.
Different
no,
BMF.
Jorge
category.
never lost it, did he?
Yeah.
No. Kamaru,
Jorge did lose it.
Leon. Who was the lineal BMF?
Oh fuck.
Kamaru.
Colby
Leon
Covington?
Bilal.
Bilal
right?
is the lineal BMF champ.
That is amazing.
Shout out to Bilal Muhammad.
So put on the lineal
champ.
BMF title, Bilal versus Islam. There you go.
There you go.
Unless
There's no
JDM
good
takes
options
it.
here. There's no good options here. I think Khamzat is the best of a bunch of bad options. And as I said, like anytime we can get a Khamzat fight, I'm in. Like that's the only thing I hope for at this point is can the guy actually even fight? Like I would love to see Khamzat fight. And so I think that's the best of a bad option. It's not great, but there's no standard anymore.
I know Ilya and Charles and Islam are all saying they don't want to fight right now. Is there any chance of adding like an Ilya versus Charles 5-round co-main
He
event?
said
or
it
something
himself.
like that?
He said it himself on Rogan. He's not
Yeah.
here to fight an interim fight. He's not here to fight for a number one contender fight. And we've said this from the beginning. I've said this from the beginning. Can I ask you guys, did the UFC make a mistake by putting Sugar Sean Marab in New Jersey? Should they have saved that for International
Yes.
Fight Week?
In hindsight, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, that might have been the proper call.
That
and you
would've-
do
That one would have been
Pantoja.
fine, right?
You do Pantoja KKF in Newark.
In Newark, it would have sold. Kayla Juliana
Yep.
sells, and then now you've got. If you had, by the way, if you had a Marab Sugar 2 and then a Khamzat Kayo interim
Oh, yeah.
fight,
That's
it's-
International Fight Week.
right?
Yep.
That's blockbuster.
But imagine we're
Yep.
waiting this fucking long for Khamzat Chimaev to come to fucking America, and then he's fighting for the interim title. Like, come on.
And
What
by the way,
fuck?
should he be fighting for the interim title?
As opposed to
Well, Drickus didn't fight that long ago. He fought in February.
yeah,
this is
that's just
the-
a marketing ploy. Just like slap the interim on because
That's
DDP
even
is
more annoying.
But are
right?
you from a business perspective, like truly, when we get to brass tacks, you're now detracting from the Newark pay-per-view in terms of your ability to get a gate, right? Because I think that fight is going to, Sean O'Malley and Merab is going to do a better gate for that Newark card. The pay-per-view buys, all you're doing is shifting them to June. June is going to sell out, even if it's just Khamzat and Caio and the Pantoja fight. You're going to sell those pay-per-views. Ultimately, like, this is just a shuffling. It's just a moving of beans. We're not really doing anything here at this point. International Fight Week just was not meant to be. This date in June or July, depending on the calendar year, just has not had the good luck of being what it used to be. And I just don't think you can count on that anymore.
Well, now Imavov's getting jumped too.
Well, that was a weird one because didn't Caio say that he was offered Imavov, and then he said Imavov turned it down?
Oh, did he say that? I missed that.
He did a whole thing. It was Miami Fight Week. He's like, he turned it down. He didn't want it. And then Imavov said, not yet. I don't know. Can we just get a freaking main event so we could? I feel like we've been talking about International Fight Week with nothing really there. It hasn't been one of those like, will he, won't he? It just feels like we're spinning our wheels on this one. And this has been positioned as their WrestleMania, as their Super Bowl. And by the way, maybe that's the problem. What the hell is International Fight Week anyway?
That is the problem. Also,
is it just another event at this point?
I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that, especially if we're going to have boots on the ground. We got to go to UFCX. We got to do the whole thing.
But can't we be honest with each other? MSG is the bigger card every year.
Yeah.
MSG is always the bigger card. MSG is the card of the year every year.
Can you make the argument that Miami is a bigger card?
Yeah, Miami.
Miami's always stacked to the gills.
That is true.
Here, hang on. Like, you tune into WrestleMania, it feels like WrestleMania. Is it redundant at this point? Like, is it the new Ultimate Fighter International Fight Week where we're kind of like, all right, we've seen this before. Now it's just becoming stressful. Every year it's like raging against the machine. Who's going to end up on Dana White's video saying, oh, you won't be able to get us a main event? Me, please. I want to be 2 years running. That's my Pulitzer Prize.
Other than the Hall of Fame and this UFCX,
Yeah, FanFest, shout out.
what is it?
Yeah.
So, are we just marks?
Yes.
This is an international week to celebrate fighting.
Yeah, it used to be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
deadly.
or a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That was
UFCX,
when there were two
Thursday,
cards.
Hall of Fame Friday.
Slap is going to be on Wednesday this time.
Oh, Jesus.
BMF Belt, slap double championship, two title fight card. It's sorted.
Yeah.
I'm back. I
Which
love it,
BMF
actually.
belts?
Do you know what?
There's like 6 out there. Which one are we doing?
Matchmaking ain't easy. Booking ain't easy. We
Yeah.
just did it right here.
Man.
What about Scott's setup, by the way? My God.
Yeah.
I'm just out in my pool house. All
I was
right,
going to
Scott.
say, out in the prairies, man. My man's got land.
If Khamzat Chimaev
golf
storms
course
around that week with a belt saying Drickus didn't show up,
Yeah.
I was ready, it will feel massive. It will feel massive.
Now, is there any concern of? I guess Khamzat could do it in October in the Abu Dhabi pay-per-view, and they unify the belts.
Meaning he fights in June and then fights in October?
Yeah, but it's just a concern with how often Khamzat Chimaev fights.
We need some clarity. And I've tried. I keep getting the stiff arm.
I've never wanted a Dana White IG Live more in my life.
I know. Can we get something on Threads? Can we get an IG Live?
I'll take a
Can we
thread.
get a Facebook
I'll-
Live?
This Wednesday night.
Go
Wednesday night
live
is
on
the night. I
Threads.
feel
I'll
it.
download Threads.
Come on. Can we get something?
It's Wednesday.
Can we
This Wednesday night.
Can we get
but what is the something? Is there even a thing?
just
No, but we need.
I just want a resolution.
we need
I
a card.
just want to know
We're
what
gonna book
it is.
flights. If
at this
we're gonna
point.
buy tickets to UFCX, like we gotta,
You have to buy tickets to that.
if we gotta plan the Hall of Fame ceremony, we gotta get moving. We're 2 months out.
Oh, Hall of Fame set. Hall of Fame's good.
You know what's the crazy thing about it? Like in a vacuum, Caio versus Khamzat is a tremendous fight.
Fantastic fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
It's better than most main events. Certainly better than your typical fight night main event. It's better than many co-main events. It just feels like you're talking about Islam versus Ilya. Other than, as far as the realistic fights right now, other than John versus Tom is probably the most desired fight, and I'm excluding Conor. I know I talked last week about Conor and Patty and all that stuff. It doesn't feel very, it doesn't feel very real at this point. Conor fighting in 2025. So other than Tom versus John, it's that. And could you make a case that it's close, or is that crazy?
No, nothing's bigger than Tom versus
No,
Tom.
not bigger, but it's like if Tom versus John was here. Like, it's not that
It's
far
pretty
away.
close. I would be pretty damn excited for
I'll
Ilya
be honest,
Topuria
Are
Yeah, it's
freaking
close.
superstars.
I've
the
got
two of them.
Khamzat,
Yeah.
as I said on our show, I've got Khamzat and DDP right up there with that one, to be honest.
That's the trio right now of the fights.
I
that
don't
wanna
have that
see.
near those two.
Oh, man,
well,
I
it's,
do.
it's near. It's near. It's.
Ooh, I
it's-
wanna see it.
There's a bigger gap between Ilya and Islam and DDP v Hamzat for me than there is between.
Honestly, I'm-
Islam.
I've got that
Yeah.
I'm
so
really just
different.
excited to see either A, Khamzat Chimaev get a belt, B, someone hand him his first loss, and then just like the star potential surrounding Khamzat Chimaev is fascinating to me. And if he's fighting in America too, I feel like that opens some doors for him.
I think
to
Khamzat
be a
moves
long-reigning
the
champ.
needle in a big way. I
It's also super annoying that we've been waiting so long for Khamzat to fight for a belt, and his first title fight is for an interim title.
yeah.
An interim title
Yeah.
in a weight class where the belt was defended 4 months ago,
Yeah.
2 months ago. But by the time the
This
fight
should
happens,
represent the beginning of the era of him returning to the US. This guy's going to be fighting regularly. We're not going to have to
Right.
wait till they go to the Middle East for him to fight. This is what it should be. It would be like booking Tom in another interim fight now when there's one obvious fight. You know what I mean? Like it's all bullshit. Islam in another fight that isn't Ilya at the moment is bullshit. This is what we're
Even
dealing with. Like,
170 for Islam?
yeah, honestly,
Nah,
when
come
it's
on,
there,
come
you got to make it. When it's there, you have to fucking make
How
it.
on
We
earth?
know this historically. If you fucking lift a gift horse in the mouth, you're gonna come up with shit in your pockets. Like that. That's what keeps happening here. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Never heard that
every time.
expression.
that is such a good one.
Trying to free ball that one. But you know, like if we don't come away with all this, with either of these three fights, it's gonna feel fucking a bit shit. For
Yeah,
the fans.
1,000%.
That's who this is for. This is who this is for, essentially,
with
right? These are the people who make the fights. Don't forget, UFC make the fights. So fucking make the fights.
Can I tell
with
you something
you,
that
JT.
concerns me as well? Where are the? And again, Hunter Campbell, he's cooking.
Yeah.
He's always wearing a Yankees hat, by the way. Do you think he's an actual Yankees fan, or does he just wear it?
That's kind of just become a.
Let's fly him out.
costume at
Let's
this
fly him out. Let's go to Yankee Stadium with old HC.
Where are the superstars to litter the card? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of those names, like right now, there's only 3 fights that are rumored for this card, not officially announced, and that's Pantoja KKF, that's Manel Cap against Brandon Royval, and Justin Tafa on here as well against Jonta Diniz. That's it. There's nothing. And Costa, I guess you could say rumor, but we don't know against who. Actually, he told me, but he told me not to say anything. And BD. But the point is,
Who is it?
the like. Okay, I'm now looking. Okay, there's Michael
Sounds
Johnson.
Okay.
Sorry.
One that you could add right now
Michael
that I'm
Johnson
getting
against
very
Del
excited
Hebert.
about:
Yeah.
Sean Strickland versus Israel Adesanya. Now your issue is
happening
why not?
in June.
Nah.
Oh, are you saying you're hearing this, or it's what you
No,
like?
no. What I'd like.
I mean,
what
that'd
I'd
be 4
want.
months off for both of them.
I don't think.
Izzy's training with David Goggins.
I think the biggest obstacle is if that does become a middleweight headline card. If you're Israel Adesanya, you'll probably love fighting on a Hamzat card, on a DDP card. It seems like it's not going to be DDP.
Yeah.
Anyway. You probably don't love that, but I think that's juice. I'd love Izzy versus Strickland right now.
It's all right, but the fight wasn't good. Like of all
Well,
the
I'd hope it'll be better this
no,
time.
but of
That's
all
the
the
point.
Izzy fights that I wanna see again.
You don't want to see Izzy versus Strickland again? My whole thing is thinking that was the worst of Israel.
Put it this
Adesanya.
way, I'm canceling our plans of going to Vegas if that's
If
We want,
if
like,
it's Izzy
John
Strickland
Silva. We
or
want guys
if
like
it's Hamzat.
no, if it's Izzy Strickland. It's like this.
Oh,
is,
by the way, sorry, I was saying like as a
no, I know.
feature. Like, I'm not-
Yeah, I know. It's fine.
Oh, get out of here!
Oh,
poo-pooing
it's
that. That's a
fine.
good fight.
All right,
That's a
this is
good fight.
confirming it. It's Costa versus Izzy too. That's why he's
That's why he's poo-pooing it?
no
Wait,
showing.
I would sign up for that rematch.
Okay.
That
So
Yeah,
would
that
I.
was
fun.
Oh, that was okay. So sorry, Strickland versus Izzy was a bad fight, but the one where Izzy finished Costa in 5 seconds because he was wine drunk was a good fight. That you'd
100%.
wanna
But that's
It was
what the
fun.
that's by the
just making
UFC
sure.
standards. That is what they consider a good fight now. Like honestly.
Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.